As I mentioned earlier, we're talking about the recent protests that have been taking place in Nigeria. This week, thousands of Nigerians took to the streets, bringing key roads to a standstill. Citizens protested over police brutality, unlawful arrests, torture, and extrajudicial killings. The notorious SARS Unit was subsequently disbanded and replaced with the SWAT Unit. However, civilians continue with protests as they call for police reform in its entirety. The unrest has been ongoing for several days now, and Nigerians say they will continue until decisive action is taken. To tell us more about the latest to come out of the protests over the last several days is broadcast journalist Itodo Abbah and possibly protester Landre Isholo, who'll join us in a few minutes, who has lost his brother in 2018 at the hands of the SARS unit during a stop and search operation. Itodo, thank you for your time and thank you for joining us on Weekend Dawn. Really appreciate it. What is the current mood at the moment in some of the major cities where the protests have been taking place in Nigeria has been like at the moment?
Hello, Jacob. Good morning. Right now, I'm in Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria. And the mood it's amazing seeing that young people are all out to get what they want for themselves. The fact that the disbandment of SARS was announced a couple of days ago, it's more of action for us here in Nigeria, not just words, because it's not the first time this is happening. There's been a disbandment close to 4 times. This is the 4th time right now. But we want action and not just words. And young people are going out to the streets every single day. This is about the 10th day this is happening. And we just want to see action, not just words. In as much as some police officers have been demoted or put out of work, it's the action for us and not just reforming SARS and giving it a different name, because pretty much it's still the same thing happening. So young people across the country are going out every day. It's like a synchronized protest to say that we want what we want and we want police reforms, because that's a way to moving the country forward.
So what role has social media played over the past week or so in getting the truth about these units out there to the world? Because I see that there's a lot of major support, both locally, internationally. In fact, even well-known people are getting involved, including soccer players and musicians, etc. So social media played a critical role.
Yeah, it did, totally. And the good thing is there's no leader. So there is nobody who is above the other person. Everybody is equal in this protest. We want the same thing. We want what we want. And it's cut across. Social media pretty much played a huge role, seeing that people just go out there, air their frustration. It's peaceful as well, which is great. There is no violence, except for a few times where thugs were allegedly employed to try to disrupt the protest. But even at that, it went on and it's been growing stronger and stronger every day. For instance, here in Abuja, where I am, we had about 4 protests yesterday, different locations, and it's been the biggest so far. As opposed to moving from location to location, we had 4 different crowds at 4 different major points in the city, just to air our views, just to air our frustration about what's going on in the country right now.
Has government commented on the latest wave of protests?
Yes, they have, but it has only made it stronger. That's what it's done so far, because at the point, the FCT Security Committee has some concerns about COVID-19 spreading or the numbers increasing here in Nigeria, but the protesters haven't stopped. It has only made them go out to get their mask and, maintain some social distancing as much as they can, have sanitizers on just so they can stay safe, but still air their frustration as to what's going on.
Itodo, let's take it back a little and talk about this special anti-robbery squad. A lot of the members from the special anti-robbery squad have been involved in assaulting and even killing people, allegedly, for many, many things. Have any members of this disbanded unit ever been charged or faced any sort of prosecution?
Up until now, nothing of the sort has happened, but somewhere in Anambra State, the governor sacked one of his essays because he was involved in the SARS killings. But I hear in different states of the Federation that people are being investigated right now. We haven't seen much action go on or have them, brought to books. But for now, I hear that, some sort of investigations are going on, and when they are finalized, they will get to, face the music pretty much.
And how do protesters actually know that this movement or this protest is the one that's going to bring about change? As you mentioned earlier, you said the disbandment of this unit has happened at least 3 or 4 times in the past. Is there any sort of guarantee that this is actually bringing about change?
We're hoping this is what happens at this time. That's what a lot of protesters are hoping, and that's why they go out every day. They pretty much want to see action and not just words, or a reform, because a reform of the SARS unit right now would mean you're bringing the same people back, but they have a different name. So they want a total overhaul of the police system, of the police force, and to ensure that those who have committed these atrocities are brought to book eventually. And also, so those who have also been killed, get to face the music as well.
And that's where I was going with this. Are you hoping that people will be treated fairly now, and are you hoping that a unit or police will be all under one level of policing and not a special unit that actually takes advantage of people?
Well, that's what a lot of people are hoping for right now. But it's funny to note that even after the disbandment was announced, there were still cases where people were abused. So it just means that nothing has really changed. And it brings to mind the question, who is really in charge of these people? Do they listen to the orders they're giving, or go on to doing whatever it is they decide to do for themselves? So we're hoping, protesters are hoping that what's going on right now will get to change what's happening and pretty much bring everyone under the same level to get fair treatment.
Speaking about how change is necessary and how the people of Nigeria won't stop protesting, and there's no leaders as they are protesting. But how is this all put together when the protests are put together? Is there a body where people call or follow? Is there a sort of announcements that are made and people just decide to take place in various protests that are set up? Is there anything that will be taking place there today?
Everything is happening via social media. All the setups, all the routines, everything happens on social media, Twitter to be specific. But the thing is, no leaders. Today, I'm not certain yet, but definitely it would happen. I haven't gotten information about that yet. It tends to come out at about 6 a.m. every day to be certain what part of town or what location people would gather and march on from. But for now, no information about that yet.
That's exactly what, or some of the stories that you've heard or seen with the SARS unit mishandling or assaulting people. What are some of the stories that you've heard about in the past? And have you been personally affected by some of these members of the SARS unit?
No, I haven't been personally affected, no, but I would say I've had a handful of stories. One is of a young man who had gone to a child dedication, and he was picked on from there. Afterwards, his family tried to bail him out of the SARS unit. They were asked to pay ridiculous sums of money. And after a few days, when they went back, they were told to go search a pool of bodies to find out if he was there. And, his father, did a couple of checks and couldn't find him. Up until now, he's not been found, so he's assumed he's dead. But then the family hasn't quite gotten closure. And this is one of so many stories, similar stories of people going to people get arrested and they're not found afterwards. Nothing is gotten of them. Their bodies are not found. So it's ridiculous to note that fellow human beings are treated this way and there is no justification for what's happening.
So how long do you anticipate that this protest or these protests will go on for?
There's no telling how long it'll go for, but from what I've heard, from what I've been told, and those I've spoken to, they're ready to go for as long as possible. As long as their demands are met, eventually they would go on and keep talking to the government, trying to find a way to ending all of what's been going on, and of course building a better nation and a better police unit.
Itodo, you're a broadcast journalist, so you possibly have to report on matters like these and others. Do you not feel any sort of pressure that you might also be targeted by what was known as the SARS unit?
Well, that's bound to happen, yes. But at the same time, the job has to go on. The job has to be done, and people's views have to be aired. So we hope it doesn't come to that. I hope it doesn't come to that. But of course, I would do what I need to do.
And their modus operandi, does it mean they target specifically well-off young people in Nigeria, or do they just target each and every person who might be or may be accused of breaking the law?
So it cuts across different divides, but majorly a lot of people who have been arrested are people who are doing well for themselves, or you appear to be doing well for yourself, or you've been accused of something and you haven't been investigated. It's assumed you're guilty already, allegedly, and things just go downwards from that point.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Itodo Abbah, broadcast journalist all the way in Abuja, Nigeria, telling us about the protests that have been taking place there, specifically because of this now disbanded SARS unit. A new unit has now been set up called the SWAT Unit, and a lot of Nigerians are worried that it could be the same unit, just under a different name. We would have liked to chat to Landre Ishola, who actually had first-hand experience by losing a sibling to this now disbanded SARS unit, but unfortunately we couldn't get him on the line.